And our first stop is Canton, Ohio. Pro Football Hall of Fame. Stunning news yesterday. Bill Belichick will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Sources telling our Seth Wickersham and Don Van Natta Jr. that Belichick fell short of the 40 out of 50 votes needed for induction. He got the news on Friday. He was said to be, quote, puzzled and disappointed, even telling one associate, quote, 6 Super Bowls isn't enough. Multiple sources told ESPN Spygate and Deflategate, 2 of the scandals during the Patriots' championship runs, came up in deliberations among the voters. Here's Wickersham last night on SportsCenter.
I think that part of it is procedural. You can, in that particular line of voting, you can vote for up to 3 candidates. So I think that there are some voters who voted for other people thinking that Bill would get in. There's some people who maybe put Belichick lower on their list. And then I think there are people who are still frustrated, feeling like that teams around the NFL were cheated out of wins because of the Spygate controversy.
Okay, so as you can imagine, social media went nuts. Some of the biggest stars in all sports, including Patrick Mahomes, tweeting, insane, don't even understand how this could be possible. Hall of Fame coach Jimmy Johnson adding, I would like to know the names of the bleeps who did not vote for him.
Jimmy!
They are too cowardly to identify themselves. Jimmy Johnson, of course, is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. All right, Peter, you are as close to the process as anyone we have here. We're going to have Sal Paolantonio a little later, who is a voter, and will explain to us a little bit more. But what can you tell us? I mean, people are asking the question, how in the world does Bill Belichick not get in?
Good question. And it's in a nation that might be divided. It seems to be the one thing that's galvanized everyone, just outrage over this decision. Here's what happened in the last 12 months. They changed the voting rules in a bit of a way where coaches could get in after 1 year after retirement. So once Belichick was out of the NFL for 1 year and took this college job, he became eligible on the ballot. Typically, they had to wait 5 years. And he's put into a separate group. This group is of the senior committee people, which is players that have been off the ballot or have already surpassed the first initial round of it, and then owners and coaches. So he's in a group with L.C. Greenwood and Ken Anderson and Roger Craig and Robert Kraft. And voters had the opportunity to vote for up to 3 of those people, and he needed 40 of the 50 voters to vote for him. At least 10 voters did not vote for Bill Belichick on a first ballot process here, meaning there are 10 or maybe more voters out there of the 50 who did not deem Belichick worthy of getting in first ballot.
It's the more times you say it, the more ridiculous it sounds. K-Mart, what were you hearing? You and he both went to Wesleyan, so I know you have that connection.
Yes, we did go to Wesleyan University, and that is, I'm not at all biased in this. The fact that 6 Super Bowls, again, is that not enough? I think across the league, you saw the reaction from players, from coaches, Jimmy Johnson in particular. Everyone's stunned. I think the mention of Deflategate and Spygate, my big question is, are we going to penalize Tom Brady the same way? Because if you're going to make it even and say that's a reason, then I expect you to vote exactly the same way. And how ridiculous would it be for Tom Brady not to be in the Hall of Fame?
So we have that on the table. Let me get my guys in here. Jeff Saturday, I'll start with you. You're nodding your head along. What is your reaction to Bill Belichick not getting in on the first ballot?
It's ridiculous. Like, if you look at the definition of a first ballot Hall of Famer, Bill Belichick should be the one, right? Of all the coaches, and I played for a Hall of Fame coach, Greeny. Like, this guy is the coach that you put in as the first ballot. And to K-Mart's point, it's 8 Super Bowls, right? 6 as a head coach, 2 as an assistant coach. And when you're talking about everybody, not just Bill Belichick, but every scout, every assistant coach, everybody who's put time, energy, and effort to build this dynasty of the New England Patriots and to be slighted, because again, they all take pride in what this team was capable of doing. And I thought K-Mart's point is exactly right. So if this is a lifetime thing, all right, so you're never going to let him in? Is it a Pete Rose thing, or is this we're going to make him wait 1 year, then you got to do the same to Tom Brady? It is absolute ridiculousness. And I don't see how he's not. And I played against him. But anybody saying, hey, well, the Spygate thing, they're not giving wins back to us, y'all. Ain't nobody giving any wins back. Nobody. Seasons are cast. Super Bowl champions, trophies are hoisted. It's over. Like, it's all in the past. So at this point, you judge him on what it looked like. He's third in the most wins. He's first in Super Bowls. First in everything. I mean, you look at this guy. He should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I just don't understand it even a little bit.
Yeah. Nick.
Yeah, I want to give the voters some credit and be able to find some rational reason why they wouldn't do it, but all the reasons that are presented don't really sit right with me. The one thing that jumps out that seems to be getting the most attention is like penalizing him for Spygate or Deflategate or something like that, but that's not your job. Like that, the penalty was determined for that. I don't like the idea that you can pick and choose when you want to penalize somebody for this or that when it's not your responsibility. If he's on the ballot, you have to vote on him for on the ballot. The only reason that I feel is like reasonable to throw up there, but no one is even doing it, is that maybe you think that he's going to be a coach again. And I know that you may not want a guy to be in the Hall of Fame and then come back and be a head coach. Or maybe he's currently still coaching and you want to wait until his career is over in college now, which is also kind of pro football, before you put him in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That seems like a reasonable explanation, but nobody's doing that. They're bringing up like things that he's already been penalized for, and I just don't like the idea of the voters having the ability to be like, hey, I don't really feel like it. I feel like he need to pay some penance. Like, that seems absurd to me. The NFL determined what his penalty was, and then you determine whether he was good enough or not. And he damn sure was. The man won 6 Super Bowls, 8 to Jeff's point when you take it back to those defensive-led teams that he was a part of with the Giants.
Not to just pile on here, but there's also a personal element of this where there has been no greater advocate for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, no person who cherishes NFL history more than Bill Belichick himself. A lot of people say, I don't care about the Hall of Fame. You can vote me in. Belichick is a student of history. You know the stories about him, talking for days about the Akrons, whoever from like the 1800s that he loves. But truth is, this is the one man that cherishes the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The irony is wild, but it is a human vote. It is not AI. It is not algorithm. We talk about analytics. These are 50 humans who vote on this. And I put this out there, just as T.O. wasn't great to the media, and just as other players have had to pay for that, I don't know if Bill Belichick was warm and fuzzy to all of these voters, and I'm not sure if that came into play when this decision came down.
As somebody in the media, no, he was never warm and fuzzy to us, but that is completely irrelevant. If that's also part of this discussion, then that to me is insane.
So there are 4 things that I've written down. Before I say anything else, let me make it very clear where I stand. It is an absolute joke and makes the entire process look like a farce that Bill Belichick isn't in. So before any of the things I say are misconstrued as to saying I'm making these suggestions, here are the 4 reasons. So clearly, that's my opinion. Now, here are the 4 reasons why I can see why he didn't get in. One would be, let's just put everything under the umbrella of cheating, the Spygate, the Deflategate, and all that kind of stuff. It is the same reason why the most accomplished offensive player in baseball history and one of the great starting pitchers, probably the greatest since World War II in Major League Baseball, are not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. You take that for whatever you will. Next, the idea that he might come back. Joe Gibbs was voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame and came back and coached, and they didn't like that. I said on Mike and Mike then, and I say it now, there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. There's no reason you can't have someone who's already in the Hall of Fame being on the sideline or even on the field. I advocate voting for players while they're still playing. That's a different discussion. Third, as Kimberley just brought up, that people don't like him, which of course should be irrelevant, but in life never is. And then the 4th one is, and I come back to this, the process. So you've got a process where they can vote for as many as 3 of these 5. And now all of a sudden, L.C. Greenwood, no longer with us. Ken Anderson, an older man, maybe someone wanted to give him a chance while he has a chance. Robert Kraft, aging, maybe someone thinks, okay, let me vote for him while we have the chance. The process doesn't make any sense. In my opinion, you are either a Hall of Famer or you are not. And any process in which we separate the Hall of Famers from the not Hall of Famers should allow you to do just that. Not to say in this particular year, because this is in this cycle, these people are eligible. I guess what I'm trying to say is neither Eli Manning, I'll just use him as the most recent example, nor Bill Belichick, their Hall of Fame candidacy should have nothing to do with who else becomes eligible in the year in which they are eligible. That has always been a flaw of the football system, and I think it is rearing its ugly head here.
Well, the Hall of Fame rules have been changing a bit. It used to be very cut and dry. You'd have this many people up for candidacy, you vote for this many, and we do a secret vote, and there we go.
And you have to have at least this many and no more than this.
Yes.
Which was always ridiculous and remains ridiculous.
And last couple years, they've changed things. They had a big logjam of players like Harold Carmichael and Jimmy Johnson and Bill Cowher, guys that were waiting to get in, but there was no real way. So they put in this extra class a couple years ago, and then they sort of changed the bylaws a bit, and now it's this new deal where it's, hey, a coach can get in after just 1 year. Now, technically, if Mike Tomlin says, I'm never coaching again, he's up for Hall of Fame candidacy next year, which was never the case. It used to be you wait 5 years regardless, and then we can figure out whether or not you're a Hall of Famer first ballot.
So, Nick, you got a solution to this?
Yeah, but you have to take it seriously. I think we've seen in other sports that the Halls of Fame have lost some luster because of processes like this. I think the solution is pretty obvious. When it's a big name like this, you have to get it right. I think we don't have this conversation if it's some of these other players or coaches or executives that we know less about. Like, when it's so obvious, you have to get it right. The solution is pretty easy. If the guy won 6 Super Bowls, vote him in.
Right? Hey, Neek, here's what we should do, right? I'm from a family of teachers, right? My mom, my sister, a litany of my family. This is what we need to send them back and say, hey, listen, we didn't prepare you correctly for this test. The whole class didn't do a good job.
Exactly.
So now what we're going to do is, it was our fault. We messed it up. Everybody do this again, and we're going to stamp 50 out of 50 to finally get it right, because we prepared you enough, because obviously we didn't prepare you enough to get this freaking vote right. Give me a break.
Really
good
gracious.
That's how egregious it is. That they're joking, but no, everybody in America would say, go back and recast your ballots.
And I'd say really quickly, the witch hunt is already on, because
the
all the voters,
10, Belichick 11.
the Belichick 11, everybody who voted for him, the Hall of Fame,
Belichick 11.
they're out, they're quick.
They're like, I did it, it wasn't me.
It wasn't me. Yeah. So there are at least 11 names who did not vote for Belichick. We have yet to identify them, but everyone who did vote for him in the Hall of Fame process seems to be coming out on Twitter saying, it wasn't me, I voted for him.
The Belichick 11. The Hall of Fame will continue to exist next year, and Bill Belichick will continue not to be in it. Sources tell ESPN's Seth Wickersham and Don Van Natta Jr. that Belichick fell short of the 40 out of 50 votes needed for induction. Belichick got the news on Friday. He's said to be, quote, puzzled and disappointed, even telling one associate, quote, 6 Super Bowls isn't enough. Multiple sources tell ESPN that Spygate and Deflategate, 2 of the scandals during the Patriots' championship runs, came up in deliberations among voters. We do have Sal Paolantonio with us. We're having a little technical difficulty, so I'm told that we have him on the phone. We'll be able to hear him, but won't be able to see him. But that we should still be able to get to the heart of the matter here. So, Sal, assuming you're with us, you've been a Hall of Fame voter now for 12 years. You and I have talked through the process a million times. I think the first thing people want to know is, did you vote for Bill Belichick?
I voted for Bill Belichick. I voted for Bill Belichick as a first ballot Hall of Famer, Michael. I supported his candidacy all the way throughout. You know, I took into account a lot of the things that you've been discussing. As a voter, you took into a lot of things into account. Number one, Spygate, no question about it. You look at it, it's something that I covered firsthand. I was there the day at MetLife Stadium that it happened. I was there at Commissioner's press conference when Bill Belichick and the Patriots were fined and punished. You take into account, will he be coming back into the NFL? Are you concerned about that at all? You look at all of those things, but the bottom line is, in the end, his credentials and accomplishments as a coach in the National Football League outweighed all of those things. And to me, he was a first ballot Hall of Famer.
So as best you understand it, because it's a confidential process to some degree, even amongst all of you who are doing it, why didn't he get in on the first ballot?
Right, and it is a confidential process, and I'm not going to talk about what went on in the meeting because it's in the bylaws. We're not supposed to talk about it, and it's up to other voters if they want to talk about the reasons why they voted not to put Bill Belichick in as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Let them do that. I'm not going to get into their business, but I think it was less a snub than it was procedural. And this is something that Seth Wickersham talked about on SportsCenter, and Peter Schrager has talked about with Kimberley this morning. The bottom line is we were presented with 5 candidates in the first vote. 3 seniors, Roger Craig, Ken Anderson, L.C. Greenwood, a contributor, Robert Kraft, who I've been fighting really hard to get in for the last 6 years, and Bill Belichick. And we were told to vote for 3 out of the 5. So you have some voters who perhaps, and I'm just using educated guess here, decided, all right, well, I know Belichick is going to get in. I know he's going to get enough votes. So I'm going to vote for the guy that I want to see get in. And as a result, Belichick fell short. And I think the answer is really simple on how to reform the system. And this is something that you talked about, Michael. You take each one of these candidates and don't pit them against one another. Do an up or down vote, yes or no. If Bill Belichick gets 80%, he gets in. Robert Kraft, 80%, he gets in. And you pick one senior each year, up and down. Would that candidate get in? Now, I can tell you, I supported Roger Craig. Why? I presented Roger Craig this year, and I hope Roger Craig gets in this season. But, you know, the bottom line is maybe some people left Belichick off their ballot thinking, well, this guy's going to get in. I'm going to use my vote to get someone else in. I think going forward, what we have to do is real simple. We should put in 5 modern era candidates each year, 1 senior each year, 1 coach each year. We haven't put a coach in since 2023 when Don Coryell went in posthumously and Coryell went in as a contributor, and 1 contributor a year, and maybe 1 special teams player every 3 years. I think I'm for putting people in, not keeping them out. I've always said, let's put people in that deserve to go in.
Sal, that's well said, and I'm glad you're able to shed as much light on this as you're able to do under the circumstances.